Welcome back to BYoungMinistry.com, to another blog and to another podcast. Welcome to those who access the podcast through Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Rumble, and Spotify. Today we continue our study of Genesis chapter 5. We're in verses 6 through 14, which reads, Seth lived 105 years and begot Enosh. After he begot Enosh, Seth lived 807 years and had sons and daughters. So all the days of Seth were 912 years, and he died. Enosh lived 90 years and begot Canaan. After he begot Canaan, Enosh lived 815 years and had sons and daughters. So all the days of Enosh were 905 years, and he died. Canaan lived 70 years and begot Mahalalel. After he begot Mahalalel, Canaan lived 840 years and had sons and daughters. So all the days of Canaan were 910 years, and he died. That's Genesis chapter 5, verses 6 through 14. Today we continue our study of the lineage of Seth in Genesis chapter 5, which presents quite a contrast to the lineage of Cain found in Genesis chapter 4. In essence, this is what this experiment all boils down to, whether we will be defined by God, the God of the Bible, or will we be defined by the enemy of God? When we are being defined by God, we will be known as those who obey His word. Mind you, we will never be sinless this side of heaven, but we can grow in recognizing the foolishness behind not being defined by God. It is our skepticism that keeps us from being defined by God. The enemy has done a great job at convincing us that sin is fun and obeying God is boring. That is, until sin catches up to us and starts ruining our lives. The age-old skepticism about the accuracy of the Bible finds no greater place to begin than right in today's passage. Many question, who lives to be 100 years of age? We find it unimaginable that someone could live so long on this earth, and yet we can't insert our current situation into what it was like at the beginning of time, because so much is different in our world. To the skepticism of those who have bitten off the enemy's lies, we must respond with the fact that before the flood, the conditions on earth were wildly different than they are now, some 6,000 years later, if not more. This is due to the fact that before the flood, during the days of Noah, there was a vapor canopy surrounding the earth, which kept out the harmful radiation from the sun. And we all know that the aging of the skin and the human body is largely impacted by the UV irradiation from the sun. All things considered and taken into context, there's no reason at all to dismiss the accounts of the Bible and every reason to believe the people of Adam's day lived to be 900 years old or older. In verses 6 through 8 of today's passage, we read, Seth lived 105 years and begot Enosh. After he begot Enosh, Seth lived 807 years and had sons and daughters. So all the days of Seth were 912 years, and he died. When most come to this portion of the Bible, they move right on over the genealogy mentioned, thinking it not to be significant. When this is done, a tremendous blessing is missed, as we shall see as we look deeper into this passage. There are so many hidden treasures in the Bible to discover, and when we slow down long enough and investigate the quarry therein, we will be amazed at what we can discover. It is so true that when we seek, we will find. And when we knock, the door will be open to us. In fact, Today's passage bears out this truth in an astonishing way. In Genesis chapter 5, there's a list of 10 names that speak a message. Of course, the names are separated by many years, and no human could have concocted such a story or such a message. But nonetheless, the message is to be discovered by those who seek. The name Adam, as we have already concluded, means man. This will become important to us soon as we seek out this hidden message. In addition, the name Seth means appointed. Adam and Eve named him Seth because they figured that he would be the promised Messiah, promised in Genesis chapter 3. What Adam and Eve did not know in the naming of their son Seth was that he would be a part of a hidden message that would reveal the eventual coming one from God. With the birth of Enosh, the son of Seth, we are given the next clue regarding the identity of the Messiah. In verses 9 through 11 of today's passage, we read, Enosh lived 90 years and begot Canaan. After he begot Canaan, Enosh lived 815 years and had sons and daughters. So all the days of Enosh were 905 years, and he died. The name of Enosh means mortal. When we consider the first 3 names of this genealogy, the message hidden therein is taking shape. The message so far is man was appointed to mortal. This is only a portion of the message that God has given to us in this chapter. You will have to stay tuned to our next study to discover the remainder of the hidden message. One thing is for sure in this passage: death is an appointment from God, not an accident to be stumbled into. In verses 12 through 14 of today's passage, we read, Canaan lived 70 years and begot Mahalalel. After he begot Mahalalel, Canaan lived 840 years and had sons and daughters. So all the days of Canaan were 910 years, and he died. Sometimes the Bible's most interesting messages are hidden in plain sight. In Proverbs 25 and verse 2, we read, It is the glory of God to conceal a matter, but the glory of kings is to search out the matter. Then in Deuteronomy 29:29, we read, The secret things belong to the Lord our God, but the things revealed belong to us and to our sons forever, that we may observe all the words of this law. A careful consideration of this passage reveals that from the righteous descendants of Adam, who are listed in today's chapter, in Genesis chapter 5, the Lord Jesus Christ is the promised Messiah of the Old Testament. As we continue to study the names of these, it will become increasingly clear that God has hidden incredibly meaningful messages in the Bible to be discovered by those who are willing enough to seek. The name Canaan means sorrow, and the name Mahalalel means the blessed God. When we put the meaning of the names of Adam, Seth, Enosh, Canaan, and Mahalalel together, we have part of the ultimate message that God has given to us. That message is man was appointed mortal sorrow and the blessed God. It is becoming clearer now that the half of the gospel of the Lord Jesus Christ has been given in this hidden message in Genesis 5. And you can only imagine where it will go. But I encourage you to stay tuned for our next study, which will reveal the remainder of this most important message. My friends, I trust this blog and this podcast are helping you in your walk with the Lord. If I can be of further assistance to you, shoot me an email at BYoungMinistry@gmail.com. Hey, have a great day.